the off stump. And here he's floated one outside, tempted him. Should I leave? Should I play last over before lunch? He would have been very disappointed, Virat.
Okay, we'll go downstairs. We've got some interviews here. Ishan Guha has Mitchell Starc.
Thanks, Gilly. One of the all-time great test matches, but Australia get it done. Mitch Starc alongside me. You've been playing this game a while now. How does this rank in terms of test wins?
Well, it's got to be up there in the grand final, doesn't it? That's why we've day 5, isn't it, Vaughnie? So, no, look, fantastic way to finish the week. I think it's been 5 fantastic days of cricket. The crowd, the turnout from obviously both India and Australia has been fantastic. The atmosphere's been awesome. Yeah, really out of gas, but it's been a great week.
Well, you really put in today, Mitch, as well. How is your back?
Deal with that tomorrow.
I saw you a little earlier on today in the morning, and you looked very relaxed. Did you feel like you could take all of these wickets at the start of the day?
Yeah, I mean, there's always belief in the group. I think that's been a feature of this group for a number of years, is sort of the calmness and just go with the flow and adapt to what's thrown at us. So there were a few flat patches through the day with the wicket not doing a whole lot, but we managed to find a way. The fields were fantastic to back up the bowlers, and yeah, I think that's just a feature of the group at the moment, is that calmness to know or have that belief that we can get the job done.
You might have felt like you didn't have a bit of luck at times, especially with that ball swinging around. Trav come in. You were the ultimate partnership breaker in the end with a rank long up. Did you expect that to happen?
It's harsh. Well, I had 4.5 days off, so didn't feature. I just thought I'd watch the boys bat this week, and nice to contribute.
What was the chat at tea? Because you still needed 7 wickets at that stage.
Not much, actually. What do we do at tea? I got told I was bowling, so wasn't too pleased about things. But no, I think a pretty relaxed group. We don't change too much, so I think we knew what we had to do. And Pat and Ronnie come up with the plans and had a chat and delivered that, and we were able to go out and execute it.
And what was the plan to Rishabh Pant?
Just get me on. No. Bowl rank 1 and have everyone on the fence. So, look, I just threw him down there and then see what happens, and very lucky it turned our way.
And just talk us through the feeling when you're out in the middle there and you're pushing for victory. You've got a massive crowd here at the MCG, record attendance for a test match here at the G. It must be electric.
Yeah, it is. I feel like I can try and stay as a level. I'm trying to be one of the level ones and try and keep the boys in check a little bit. Look after Sammy under the helmet, the partner in crime. So, but yeah, electric. The crowd's been exceptional for 5 days. I don't think we've ever witnessed something like that on day 5 with a game like that on the balance. So, yeah, what a week to be involved in.
What did it take in the end? Because it was a match that just went back and forth right throughout the test match. India kept coming back at you. What was it that helped you get over the line?
Oh, I said that at tea, so I guess knowing how the game was going to play out, what the narrative was going to be at the end of the test match. It's 2 bloody good teams going at it, and I felt like it ebbed and flowed throughout the 5 days, and it's probably one of the best test matches that I've been involved in terms of no matter what the result was going to be, that 2 teams went at it pretty hard, and there was moments where both teams stepped up, there was moments where they fought, and yeah, it's just nice to where they come out with a win. It's been a long 5 days.
Go and enjoy yourselves. Look forward to seeing you in Sydney. Congratulations once again.
Yeah, well, I like that ebb and flow phrase. Look at those celebrations. I mean, and India would be celebrating with such verve were it to them who'd won the game. What a first test match for Sam Constance. I mean, absolutely amazing start to it with his 60 made in that unorthodox fashion. And then the ebb and flow through 5 days. Fantastic.
You can see how much it means to them. You know, they've been kept at bay from the Border Gavaskar Trophy for almost 10 years, and they've got the opportunity now to go ahead in the series and with a Sydney Test match to play. So they wanted this one badly, because otherwise the pressure on Australia going into Sydney would have been immense. And I mean, credit to them. They came hard after tea. They took their catches. Their catching was outstanding in the second innings. They didn't drop a single catch. They took some half chances as well. And when you want to win a game, you've got to do all that.
Okay, thanks, Ravi. Let's head back downstairs now, because Isha's there with the post-match presentation.
And welcome along to the post-match presentation of this NRMA Insurance Test match here of the Boxing Day Test at the MCG. It was hard fought Test cricket right the way throughout. Australia and India, when they get together, it's always tantalising to watch. It came right down to the wire. Australia ultimately winning the Test match, taking 7 for 43 in the final session to go 2-1 up in the series. I'd now like to welcome up the losing captain, Rohit Sharma. Rohit, hard luck, 7 wickets in hand in that final session. How hard is that to take?
Yeah, it is pretty disappointing. It's not that we went with that intent of not giving up a fight. We wanted to fight till the end, but unfortunately couldn't do it.
Yeah, wicketless in the afternoon session. There was plenty of fight in that session. Ultimately, where do you think it went wrong in that final one?
No, look, I mean, it'll be tough to just assess the last 2 sessions. If you look at the overall Test match, we had our opportunities, we had our chances. We just didn't take them, and we let Australia come back into the game when we had them 90 for 6. But again, I know things can get difficult and get tough as well, but that is what we are here for. We want to be in the tough situation, we want to play hard cricket. But yeah, I mean, look, I don't want to look at only one incident that happened in the game. We just were not good enough.
Yeah, at one stage Australia were 6 for 91. You fought tremendously well to get back into the Test match with the century of Nitish Kumar Reddy.
Could have done as a team, but we tried everything we could. We did throw everything that we had, but they fought hard in that partnership, with the last wicket partnership especially. Again, like I said, we had our chances, but we didn't grab them, and cost us the game a little bit there. And then we know 340 wasn't going to be easy for us. We tried everything we could. We wanted to set the platform where, the last 2 sessions, if we have wickets in hand, we can go for those runs. But, they bowled perfectly as well.
So you were thinking about winning the game in the morning session?
We wanted to go for the target. I mean, for that, you need to basically set the platform, right? That didn't happen from our side. Obviously, we want to have that positive mindset no matter what the situation is. You want to try and win games and want to find ways to win games. It's just that, there are ways to win games, and we were falling short in finding ways to win games.
Looking ahead to the next Test match, obviously some fine performances here in this one. Nitish Kumar Reddy, a fabulous magical ton in his debut Test match here at the MCG. Just talk us through that knock and what it meant to you as a side.
No, absolutely. Look, he's coming here for the first time. These conditions can get really tough, but he showed great character, showed a lot of fight, and showed solid technique as well. Battling there in the middle. He's got a bright future ahead of him. He's got everything that is required to be successful at this level. I just hope that he goes strength to strength, and he's obviously got a lot of backing from the team as well.
And a word on Jasprit Bumrah. It must be incredible to have a weapon like him in your team. 71 wickets this year at 14.92. No other bowler has done that in the history of Test cricket.
No, absolutely brilliant. Look, we know the quality of him. We've been watching him for so many years now, coming here and getting the job done for the team. And, is somebody...
Received the Muller Medal, named in honour of Indigenous cricketer Johnny Muller. I'd now like to ask Uncle Richard Kennedy to step forwards, great-great-grandson of Young Genyanyuk, one of the first 11 from the All-Aboriginal cricket team of 1868, to present the medal to this year's winner. So many wonderful performances right throughout this Test match, centuries for Steve Smith, Nitish Kumar Reddy. 9 wickets for Jasprit Bumrah. Half centuries in both innings for Marnus Labuschagne and Yashasvi Jaiswal, but for his contribution in this Test match, the skipper Pat Cummins wins the Player of the Match awards. 6 wickets and 90 runs, but at crucial times. Congratulations, Pat. It must be nice to contribute in what is such an important Test match in the context of this match.
Yeah, that's
the series.
Yeah, that's right. What an amazing Test match. That's a goodie. I reckon that's one of the best I've been part of. All week the crowd's been ridiculous and the cricket's been just as good. So, yeah, pretty happy changer at the moment. Happy to contribute.
We often talk about your bowling, but those 2 partnerships that you had, Steve Smith first up and then in the second innings when your backs were against the wall, it was important for you to be out there with Marnus Labuschagne. He protected you initially against Jasprit Bumrah, but then you were able to form a nice complementary partnership together. Just how important was it for you both and at different stages of the game?
Yeah, Marnus helped me out in that second innings, big time. Yeah, you never really know what you're going to get with my batting, so fortunately it came off this game. Happy to contribute. I mean, amazing innings from Steve to hold the first innings together, and I mean, winning the toss, but it wasn't an easy wicket. But to get up, high 400s really set the game up for us.
And you contributed today as well. Firstly, those 2 wickets in the morning session, but then wicketless in the afternoon session. What were your thoughts as a captain going into that final session after tea?
You always kind of think anything can happen. I thought we bowled, as well as we can in that first session. Having 3 for 30, it kind of took their victory out of the equation. They batted well in the middle session. You never really quite know going to the evening, and once we got that one breakthrough, again, you never know what's going to happen, and that proved the case.
And you pounced on them pretty much immediately. What was going through your mind at that stage?
Just going in for the win, really. Once we felt like we had plenty of runs to play with, there was as many helmets around the bat as we could.
And contributions all round from the batters, but especially the lower order. How much does that get talked about amongst the group?
We talk about a lot, us lower order. We put a lot of work into it. We know that could be the difference in a lot of Test matches. So we've actually spent a lot of time on working out how to, first of all, bowl better to the opposition, but more importantly, ourselves try and contribute a few more runs.
And it was Travis Head who got the ball rolling with that wicket of Rishabh Pant. Whose idea was that?
You've got a bit of a Midas touch. I'll give the coach the credit for that one. We're also a little bit behind on the the over 8, so we thought get Trav in there, might get a breakthrough, helps out with some overs.
Okay, and just lastly, Steve Smith, another fabulous century. Just a word on him and how he set the game up.
Yeah, I mean, amazing. Again, it wasn't an easy wicket. He really, just showed how to bat on that wicket. I think he was patient. He, when he got an opportunity, he pounced and, really up the ante kind of with your tail ender. So he was brilliant. Again, some handy catches. I think that goes unnoticed sometimes, how important he is in the slips.
You desperately want to win this Border Gavaskar trophy. Going into Sydney 2-1 up, that must be an amazing feeling.
Yeah, that's right. Just missed out of the Gabba, but we've been really happy with how we played, the last few Test matches. So very happy change room. We'll savour this one for a little bit before we get to Sydney.
Congratulations once again, Pat. All the best in that final one.
Thank you.
Pat Cummins, player of the match. I'll be delighted with his team's performance across this week at the MCG. It really was one of the all-time great Test matches. But Australia go into that final Test in Sydney on the 3rd of January, the New Year's Test, 2-1 up in the series.
Right, well, thanks to Isha and to the 2 captains. Quite interesting stuff there. The Langers are downstairs. That's my auntie and Justin. And obviously, I'd really like my auntie just to hear Justin's summary.
First and foremost, we should get those T-shirts, I think, branded, but extraordinary, like you said, Mark, because it's been coming for over a decade that Australia has wanted success here at the MCG against India.
Yeah, that was a marvellous performance. Mark and I came in just before the first ball of the last session, and we looked at each other and thought, we had a sense something was going to happen, and it was always going to be hard for India to, against that fast bowling attack and Nathan Lyon, to hang in there. So in the end, Australia will be absolutely delighted to go to Sydney 2-1 up.
And Ravi, if I can come back to you, it was interesting to hear Rohit Sharma's mentality saying that when they came in today, they were actually looking to go for the target. So India's mentality was still about trying to win this game. Where did they end up losing this game? Which was the most significant point for you?
I think the turning point was the wicket of Rishabh Pant. You know, they knew they couldn't win the game at lunchtime once they lost 3 wickets. Only chance you have of winning is if there's a platform set, exactly what Rohit said. And then when Rishabh Pant got out after tea, that lifted the Australians. That was the opening they were looking for, and they made sure that they made the most of it.
Particularly the way he got out. I think if it had have been against Pat Cummins or if it had have been against Scotty Boland, it might have been, you know, well, that's good cricket. But the way that Rishabh was out against Travis Head, who Mark and I were talking about, was only really on to get the over rate back in check. So to get out like that, that was a huge blow, and it let Australia in.
It is, as we spoke about, just that game of fine margins. It's about discipline. It's about keeping it in. And I mean, it was a little bit of temptation, and that just shows you captaincy at its finest. Rishabh Pant, we know more often than not what he's capable of. A captain that will take this now into Sydney, knowing that Australia, his opposition, are 2-1 up. Let's hear from Rohit Sharma at the presser.
देखिए दुख जब मैच हारते हो तो उसका दुख ज़्यादा होता है. परफॉर्मेंसेस बैट्समैन के होते रहते, नहीं होते रहते, लेकिन अगर जो आपको रिजल्ट्स चाहिए अगर वो नहीं मिलते तो उसका दुख ज़्यादा होता है. ऑब्वियसली इसमें रिजल्ट्स क्यों नहीं मिलते? वो इसलिए नहीं मिलते जब अगर आपके पास अपॉर्चुनिटी है वो गेम को दबाने के लिए, तो वो गेम को दबाना चाहिए. उसमें शायद बॉलिंग हो या बैटिंग हो, बैट्समैन हो या बॉलर्स हो, दोनों का उतना ही रोल रहता है. हमारे पास चांसेस थे. अभी तक 4 मैच हुए, चारों मैचेस में पहले मैच को अगर छोड़ दो, क्योंकि वो मैच जीते जो एडिलेड में हम हारे, ब्रिस्बेन में और यहाँ पर जो हारे, उसमें हमारे पास चांसेस थे अच्छा करने का, अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ लेने का, बट वो अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ हमने लिए नहीं. उसकी वजह से गेम में पीछे लगे. फिर ऑब्वियसली आज हमारे पास अपॉर्चुनिटी था कि गेम को हमारे तरफ लाया जाए या ड्रॉ किया जाए, बट कोशिश की. बट अगेन बहुत से लड़के जिनकी आप बात करें, जिन्होंने रन बनाए, लंबा खेल सकते थे, लेकिन अभी नए लड़के सीखेंगे, आगे जितना मैचेस खेलेंगे तो सीखेंगे उस चीज़ को लेके.
Last couple of months have been very tough as a test captain. There have been some defeats. So personally, where do you stand as a captain and as a batsman, and what are the processes that you are trying to follow now that maybe some corrective measures are needed? Like, where do you stand mentally and as a player?
I stand where I am standing today. There is nothing to think about what has happened in the past. Obviously, few results have not gone our way. As a captain, yes, that is disappointing. And yes, as a batter as well, a lot of the things that I'm trying to do is not falling in the place that I would want to. But mentally, look, it is disturbing without a doubt. If you've come here and you want to come here and try and do successfully what you're supposed to, and if those things don't fall in place, that is a big disappointment. But as of now, that is where it is, and there are things that we as a team need to look at. I personally need to look at as well. So we'll try and see what happens. There's still a game to go, and if we can play that game well, it's 2-2, so a draw will be really nice.
Just on that, it's 3 days to the next test match. As chaplain, as this losses, how do you regroup? Because as you said, there is still a series to go down at trophy to the team. So how do you regroup?
Look, there's not enough time, obviously, but there are a lot of things that didn't go our way. Obviously, we have to look at those things, try and see what we can correct. that we didn't do well as a team, as a players, as individually as well. So those are the things. Yes, there's not enough time, but we just want to not give it up and make sure that when we turn up at Sydney, we try and do everything possible to try and move that momentum towards us. Again, we have seen it over the years. Coming here and playing is not easy, but I wouldn't say that we've played bad cricket so far. There have been times where we ourselves are very disappointed with certain things that we did. But again, there are a lot of things also that we did right as well. So, but again, like I said, Sydney, again, we have an opportunity to come out there and do what we can as a team and make sure, we try and play that game well.
Rohit, what was your reaction to the punch shot? Did you have any discussion with him when he got back?
Sorry?
How do you look at the punch shot that sort of led Australia back into the game?
Today?
Rishabh Pant shot.
Today, huh? Ki pehle inning ka?
No.
See, look, it's just happened. There hasn't been any discussion about today. Obviously, we lost the game. Everybody is disappointed about how things actually planned out. We certainly didn't think of this result. There is no doubt about that. Look, Rishabh Pant, obviously, look, he needs to understand what is required from himself more than any one of us telling. It's about him understanding and figuring out what is the right way to go about it. In the past, he's given us a lot of success doing what he does. So as a captain, there is a kind of mixed reaction to that. Sometimes you want to back that thought of him playing the way he plays, and sometimes when things doesn't look good, it frustrates everyone. But that is what it is. That's the reality. It's the success and the failure. There needs to be a balance about it. And as a captain, it's very hard to have conversation when it has given him a lot of success as well. But it's about him figuring out what is the right way to do things. It's just about situation as well. Certain situation of the game where if there is a risk percentage, do you want to take that risk? Do you want to let the opposition come back into the game? Those are things he needs to figure out himself. I know Rishabh for a very long time, and I understand his cricket as well. In the past also we've had a lot of conversation. So in terms of conversation, there's no way I can say that I've not had a chat with him or he doesn't understand what the team expects. He understands that, but the things that he does gives him results as well. So it's just that fine line between telling him not to do those things or telling him to do those things.
Rohit, Bumrah has been spectacular through the series, but as a captain, how do you restrain yourself from overboarding? Is there a danger of overboarding?
Yeah, there is. To be honest, he's bowled a lot of overs. There's no doubt about it. But again, every test match we play, we keep that in mind, the workloads of all bowlers, in fact. But again, like if somebody is in such a great form, you want to try and maximize that form how much ever you can. And that is what we've been trying to do with Bumrah. But there comes a time where you need to, step back a little bit and give him that little bit of extra breather as well. So we've been very careful. I've been very careful. I talk to him about, how he feels and stuff like that. Those things should be managed carefully, and I'm trying to do that on the field.
Jaswal's dismissal, Sneeko suggests there wasn't an edge. The video suggests there was an edge. Jaswal spoke to the umpires for a couple of seconds before it went off. What's your reaction as captain to what was obviously a crucial dismissal for India?
Yeah, look, really, I don't know what to make of that because the technology didn't show anything. But with the naked eye, it seemed that he did touch something. So I don't know how the umpires want to use the technology. But in all fairness, I think he did touch the ball. But again, look, it's about the technology, which we all know is not 100%. But again, like I said, we don't want to really look too much into that. It's just that we are more often than not, we are the ones falling on the wrong side of it. So yeah, it has been happening since India. But yeah, that's where I feel we've been a little unfortunate.
Captain, of course, one of the stars of this match was Nitish Kumar Reddy. The way he has batted in this series, India's second highest scorer, average of more than 60. How do you talked about fast tracking him in India, but now when he's playing like this, showing this kind of maturity in Australia, how do you see his growth and the kind of potential he has with both bat and ball?
No, look, when we saw him for the first time, we saw there's a lot of potential, which is why he came here in the first place. And he's come and shown here what he's capable of. With the bat, he was brilliant. He understood the situation pretty well, read the situation pretty well, and he's got solid technique as well. And superb mind, not to forget, is very strong character. He wants to fight it out there. Right now it's very hard to say the growth part because it's only been 4 test matches for him, and I hope that he plays for long enough for India in all forms and keeps doing what he does. From here he obviously he's only going to go up because he's got all the tools to be very, very successful at this level.
Feel the need of another frontline wicket-taking bowler, not an option? Or are you happy playing 3 frontline pacers and then backing the side with the all-rounder?
Look, Akash and Siraj are the frontline seamers. It's just that they've been very unfortunate not to be seen on the wicket column. Siraj especially is bowling his heart out. I don't think there's anything else that he can do. Obviously, there are technical aspect of his game that he's looking into. But other than that, in terms of his effort, his attitude, bowling those long spells, he's always up there. It's just that the wicket column doesn't show how well he's bowled, but so is Akash. In Brisbane and here, in both the games, he's bowled really well. Just unfortunate that couldn't get the wickets under his name. But these are the 3 frontline seamers that we're playing, and just everyone's job to make sure that whoever plays needs to get job done for the team. It is not about 1 or 2 individuals. It's about everyone making sure that they come out here and get the job done.
Brody, just for context around the Richard part dismissal, what was your message to them at the team? Did you think you could still win the game at that point?
During tea, what was the situation?
You needed around 6 and over, you had 7. Richard's a good player.
He's a good player, there's no doubt. I mean, it's obviously when you come here chasing 340 in mind, we did that last time around, so there's no way that we were not thinking of the target. But to get that target, you need to lay the foundation for the other batters to come and play the way they want to play. We've got guys in our team who can take the game till the end, like we did in few occasions in the past. Unfortunately, when Rishabh got out, obviously we lost a couple of wickets right after that, and then we knew that it was always going to be tough. Just to be realistic, sometimes I know you want to do the target, you want to chase the target, you want to be positive and stuff like that, but you got to be realistic as well sometimes. And getting 6 and over on that pitch, it seems a little tough. Wicket was slowing down a fair bit, day 5 pitch. And then, look, when we had 7 wickets in hand, we were all positive. We were not thinking too far ahead also, and not going in our shell as well. We wanted to be positive and see where the game goes. The message was to all the batters was to just play the situation and play the game and see where it ends up. And then if the situation arises where there is a time, you can enter into that contest of putting the pressure right back on the opposition, we will do that. But we never felt that we had the opportunity to put the pressure there back on the opposition. They bowled a very good spell up front, and then obviously losing wickets at regular intervals also held us back a little bit.
On Shubman Gill, Sanju Samson told a story about how T20 World Cup final, after just before the toss, when he was dropped, not picked, that you went and spoke to him why Samajle why he to drop you, and he talks how gratefully. So what was your chat with Shubman Gill before this, and how has he taken it? And Sydney, considering is sort of a similar spin pitch, or not similar, but spin track, would you be going with the same team as now?
Look, I don't know what team I'll go with. Okay. We'll go there and see the pitch. Look, I had a chat with him. There is no way when you're leaving someone out for whatever reason it is, you will have a chat, and the chat was with him was clearly he was not dropped. We just wanted to have that extra bit of cushion in the bowling, and hence we opted for an all-rounder, which shouldn't weaken our batting lineup. Compromising a batter for a bowler was not something that I wanted to do. We wanted to, bat as deep as possible, and along with that have the same combination. Along with that, to have a bowling attack which can take 20 wickets. So we considered everything, and we ended up compromising him, unfortunately. But again, look, with him, there was never a doubt that he was not batting well or he was not scoring runs or anything like that. It was just to get that combination where we can cover both bases, batting and bowling. We opted for that option. Of course, I mean everyone has to understand that, because eventually we don't make personal decisions. It is in the best interest of the team. We want to put the team ahead.
Does look dejected, but he's answered those questions, given us a little something as well. As we say hello to you again with Sanjay Manjrekar, Justin Langer and Mark Nicholas joining us, as finally in a sense it is Australia that can contain their own fortress, because it's been over a decade since they've managed to beat India right here. Sanjay, I'll come to you first. A lot of questions, a lot of answers in a sense that we've already received from Rohit Sharma regarding where he felt. He said we just didn't capitalize on opportunities. They started the day thinking they could go for the win, essentially, which was the turning point, because we've had 5 days of very electric cricket and we can look back on a lot of moments.
And that is the beauty of having India and Australia playing. I know Australia's won that and a lot of Indian fans would be dejected. But I said on air as well, this has been a great advertisement, not just for Test cricket, a match getting into the final day, but for the rivalry that we built up as the toughest rivalry, India-Australia. I mean, what a match this has been, the series as well, with all stacked against them in that first Test match, winning against popular sort of expectations, and then Australia coming back in the next Test. And even during the course of this Test match, we've seen 2 remarkable recoveries from both sides, and that can be done only from a side that has, some quality And I'd like to take first the holistic view of things before we get into the nitty-gritty, that it was just a great test match for all of us to watch. And the India-Australia rivalry, I mean, we build up India-Pakistan a lot more, but in the end, it turns out to be a bit of a damp squib, not this one.
Well, Sanjay, you know me well enough for now knowing that we are going to get into the nitty-gritty. So, JL, I'll ask you the tough question. I mean, where did India lose the match?
I think that today particularly, those first 26 overs at lunch, India were 3 for 33. Virat Kohli out just before lunch. Pat Cummins had over 2 wickets and an over. 3 for 33 in 26 overs. The pressure was intense. The discipline was outstanding. And then, you know, whilst India fought back in the middle session, I just thought that's where it was set up. A great catch by Mitchell Marsh, the dismissal of KL Rahul, and then Virat Kohli. So that's where I think Australia set up this victory.
Mark?
Yeah, I'm going to go back to yesterday, 91 for 6. And Pat Cummins coming to the crease to join Marnus Labuschagne, who was hardly taking India apart. And I felt they got the tactics wrong against Pat Cummins. He stays leg side of the ball and hits it offside. I know we're reflecting on Indian wickets here, but the question is, where do I think the game was lost? And I feel strongly that the game was lost yesterday in not closing down that partnership. To give Pat Cummins room to hit the ball off the front foot on the offside, to not close him down by pitching full and very straight and having more fielders offside, or if you're going to go short, to get into the body and the throat and the chest with a couple here. But I think they got away with that, and to end up with the riches of 200 and whatever it was, 30 or something, and that big a lead was I just didn't think the tactics were quite right. Or the other problem potentially is an awful lot falls on Jasprit Bumrah's shoulders, and always he's the go-to, isn't he? And really they need, I think, one more wicket. Akashdeep isn't taking wickets. He's bowling well, but he's not taking wickets, and I think probably they need to find a wicket taker to work with him, as well as Mohammad Siraj, who's not quite at his best either. So, you know, I just feel it was that period yesterday was massive in this match.
Yeah. And on Pat Cummins, that's the most runs he's ever scored in a test match as well. So not only did he bowl well, he got the run out of Jazawal, which was, you could say, was a game changer in the match as well. But he scored more runs in this test match than he has in any test match. So I agree.
Why decides, for example, if it's going well, if you've got a field set and you're bowling length and the top order are nicking it off, why do you then spread the field for Pat Cummins and change your line and length? I just don't understand it.
And what you're saying, Mark, look at that. So, I mean, a half-century stand that Pat Cummins shared with Labuschagne. Sanjay, the last wicket stand of 61 runs. I mean, ideally, India would have thought that we should have got that wicket at the end of day 4. We should have been able to bat. But it managed to frustrate them, and they were running out of game plans from that perspective.
No, very good point.
You know, sometimes, Mayanti, it's just not about game plans, only game plans. I thought, I'm going to go right at the start of this test, the kind of team that India picked. They didn't address their batting weakness, which was shown in the last couple of test matches. Plus, their bowling didn't get any stronger. They had 2 spinners on a pitch that had nothing for the spinners. And in the end, you've got to say, Washi was mostly used as a batter. He did well in the first innings. So tactically, yes, there could be a few things they got wrong, but it's also about ability, right? When you saw the 2 teams, the kind of form the 2 teams were, and the personnel with regards to batting and bowling, Australia looked the stronger team, and India didn't help their cause with the kind of selection that we saw there. Shubman Gill out, which means their batting was further weakened. Thankfully, Nitish Kumar Reddy got those runs. So despite having a lopsided kind of balance in the team, that they fought Australia right till the very end, that in itself is an achievement. So I don't think tactically India did too many wrongs as much as the controllables that they got wrong.
Sanjay, our presser, and you had Rohit Sharma saying we wanted more bowling options, so we dropped a batter. We didn't drop Gill, we just wanted more bowling options.
That's dropped. When a player is left out of the playing 11, he is dropped. And it's about telling him that we find this to be the best combination. And I thought it was poor selection, and I said that right at the start as well. Nitish Kumar Reddy's 100 has actually saved a lot of blushes for the team management. Because Washington Sundar, two spinners on a pitch like this, just having batting depth and having bowlers who can bat a bit never helped England for 10 years. When England were underachievers in Test match cricket, this is what they did. They picked bowlers who were lesser bowlers but could bat a bit. And in the end, having that batting depth and these illusory all-rounders, India have lost the Test match. Their bowling looked ordinary, and that's why you had those recoveries. I mean, look at the recoveries that was possible. Once that ball gets soft, you can't have a Harshit Rana and Mohammad Siraj and two spinners who had nothing in the pace to have a crack at the Australian, batters. Akashdeep and Mohammad Siraj. So I thought they should have just strengthened their seam bowling on this pitch, and hopefully when they go to Sydney, they do something about the bowling, go for specialist bowlers and get Shubman Gill back in, because on this kind of a pitch, this was a flat pitch right through. A guy like Shubman Gill would have got, they would have got some support with the bat from Shubman Gill.
Harshit Rana, Prasidh Krishna are in the camps, but you're talking about beefing up your bowling in a sense, JL, then you've got to back it up in the field. Those drop catches, yes, the focus is on Yashasvi Jaiswal, brilliant with the bat, but how much will that come back to not just Horn Jaiswal, a young player, but India in general in that passage of play?
Well, of course, had India, as Mark mentioned before, had been chasing 250 or 260, there's a whole different ball, a whole different psychology, a whole different mental game. But they weren't. Chasing 340 on the last day with a world-class attack was always going to be hard. So those catches, absolutely critical. Too many drop catches. And in the end of the day, that'll always come back to haunt the team who makes the mistakes.
Mark, we're always going to be critical because it is Test cricket. It's a high-profile series. So the criticism, that you saw the captain's reaction as well. Yashasvi Jaiswal, how does he just enact it? How much of those moments of dropping those catches is overthinking it?
Oh, my auntie, I mean, you drop catches, you don't win matches. It's the oldest cricket adage, and you're playing at the highest level here, and you've got to hold your catches. Look at Australia today, held everything that came. The one round the corner, I think, is a difficult place to field, and it hits you almost before you realise it hits you. But those two, that's inexperience, it's a silly point. The one thing you don't ever do is come up. You always stay down low as you can be, because the ball is going down. So you stay low in that position, but he probably hasn't practiced that. The one at slip or gully or wherever he was, that sort of four-slip position, that was a straightforward catch and he dropped it. So yeah, I mean, they had massive impact, as did his run-out. I mean, to be honest with you, he hit it to mid-on and ran. And that cost. And so I felt overall, India made more mistakes than Australia, and those mistakes cost them the match.
We come down to experienced players and not talk about... Yes, Sanjay, please.
I think, my friends are just being too harsh on one individual, Yashasvi Jaiswal, a young man who's a brilliant catcher, by the way. And there's not one reason why a team loses the game. I mean, we focus on Yashasvi Jaiswal, hold him responsible for a big setback for India. What about two big-name experienced batters in that team who have hardly contributed in the last two Test matches? There's always more than one reason. And to pick out Yashasvi Jaiswal, a young player, who's got a couple of 80s. He's got runs in both innings, and he's one of the best catchers. And, we're watching Rohit Sharma there. No contributions in the two innings, Virat Kohli as well. So there are at least 6 or 7 reasons why a team loses or wins. To pick out a Yashasvi Jaiswal is just unfair. Go ahead, Mark. Go ahead.
Not. The question I was asked was, did Yashasvi Jaiswal's catches make a difference? I said, yes, they did. I wasn't asked about Rohit or Virat. I was asked about Jaiswal.
I was going to ask you, it's just that Sanjay knows me so well that he preempted the fact that we were going to talk about
I would have answered differently, saying that it's not fair to pick out Jaiswal's catches. I mean, what's going to happen is all the fans will think Yashasvi Jaiswal is the culprit, and that's how India have lost, because he dropped 3 catches. That's the problem. I would deflect that blame immediately from him.
No way. His batting in this game was literally brilliant. And actually, we've spoken a lot, he played a miss, but his temperament, even having dropped some catches, he comes out and bats like he did today. I mean, he is a super player. But I guess the point is, in any game of cricket, a team drops catches or get run out, then it's going to have an effect, right? So that's life. But when it comes to Jaiswal, I mean, he batted he kept the Indians in the game for a lot of the time. You know, and I agree with you that Rohit not making runs, Virat, who looked very good in the first innings, but then got out for 30, and then Rishabh Pant, who played 2 horrible shots. Dare I say it?
Those are the bigger reasons.
They're the big names. They're the big names. Yes, they're the big names. Yes.
Just to sum up the Jaiswal conversation, when he was asked by an Australian bowler, are you superstitious? Do you believe in superstitions? He said, no, I believe in myself. So Yashasvi Jaiswal believes, Sanjay and gentlemen, that he belongs at this stage. But yes,
I'm not going to take that stick. He's my favourite young cricketer in the world. I was asked a question about his catches. I answered the question. Catches win matches was my answer.
Let's talk about Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli as well, because they're two incredibly accomplished players. They are the pillars of Indian batting across formats. They themselves would look at these numbers, particularly Rohit Sharma, who would look at his average. It's under 10. You'll see a contribution. Virat Kohli has scored a century. But Mark Morat has come in the past and he's scored a lot of runs in Australia, against Australia. He showed discipline. You saw a change from Rohit as well. It's those moments where they got a little bit caught. Is it indecision? Is it the pressure of the series catching up with very experienced players? What do you do now in Sydney with these two gentlemen? What do they do with themselves?
Well, it's up to Rohit what he does with himself. I mean, he can choose to leave himself out to get Shubman Gill back into the side.
Would he do it though, Mark?
Pardon?
Would he do it, Mark?
I doubt it. But I would say that, you know, as you get older, it gets harder. You know, it doesn't get any easier to bat at this level. And he struggled for a year now, and it's a shame because he's one of the most fabulous players to watch the game's ever seen, and the most, you know, has the ability to have the most impact on a strong attack. Him playing well against this Australian attack would make a heck of a difference, but he's not, you know, he's struggling for form. Actually, I thought the 9, oddly enough, I thought the 9 he made today was a good 9, and then he made a mistake. And what happens as you get older is probably concentration for long periods is harder. Probably your eye and hand coordination is a little slower, your reactions, your instinct, all a little slower. And it's very difficult to recover that form. So, I mean, long term, I don't know. I mean, he's getting on a bit in age. What does he do? Who knows? He may decide in the end to stand back from Test cricket and play franchise cricket. I don't know. With Virat, I mean, I stick with Virat because it's just one flaw every time. And I think he'll work that out. And I think he sort of did work it out in the first innings here. I thought he played very well. And I suspect the run-out incident upset him and he lost a bit of concentration and then went wide again. There's not much else wrong with his game. He's playing at balls that are wide, mainly off the front foot. The ones off the back foot have got quite big on him. So I would think there's more legs in Virat yet.
Yeah. JL and Sanjay, both of you can answer this. They would not be oblivious to these conversations, so would be well aware of what's going around them. They're tremendously experienced players with a lot behind them. So their stats, their numbers, their figures, achievements speak for themselves here. But how much of it is what we see in physicality in terms of the technique, and how much of it is what we can't see, which is the mental game, JL, the confidence that two experienced players have at the moment?
Well, he looks very tired to me. We mentioned it at the press conference.
Rohit Sharma, you're talking about.
Rohit Sharma looks very, very tired. And we also saw him quite emotional in the field yesterday. Now, for someone, that's unusual for us to see Rohit like that. He's usually so calm, so chilled out. But he was showing his emotions and he looks tired. And it's understandable. As a cricketer, when you're not making runs, that's all that stays on your mind. And as a captain, if you're not making runs and your team's not winning, then the stress starts to come into the game. So whether he can get up for Sydney, that's up to him, and it's a big challenge. India need him to get up for Sydney. And Virat, I agree. Virat looked excellent in that first innings, and maybe it did ruffle him the run out, but we were surprised when we saw him get out like we did. So he's obviously still a great player. He's in outstanding physical condition, and yeah, like India, all Indians will be hoping he comes good.
Sanjay, Rohit Sharma, let's understand the situation for him. Did come late in the series, understandable. First decided I won't open, I'll let the opening pair stay, came back to open. So there are a couple of different things that have been tried now. You go into a test match where your team is now behind in this series. You want to retain that Border Gavaskar trophy because it comes under his captainship, under his legacy. Help us understand Rohit's mindset and what's going on right now.
I think they're absolutely right, Mark and JL, when they talk about Rohit Sharma and the kind of issues that he has currently with the bat. This failure is actually not isolated to Australia, against New Zealand on home pitches as well. He had a torrid time against New Zealand. So I'll say this, you've got to always think about a batter and imagine what can you expect from him in the final test match. Now, Nathan McSweeney was dropped by Australia because they thought, can we expect more from this guy as an opener? And they said, perhaps not, and it seemed harsh at the time. Now, I'll say this, it's not really up to Rohit Sharma. If you look at how the protocol and the hierarchy of team selection is, the chairman of selectors, he has the decision to make. He has the power to do what's best for Indian cricket. So it's not so much about Rohit Sharma himself, deciding what should be the future. The chairman of selectors has that power. So that's with Rohit, and he does look down in the doldrums. And Virat Kohli is a different, issue altogether. One, to begin with, I must say this, there is no comparison between Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli as test batters. I mean, Virat Kohli is right up there. He's a great test batter, and Rohit Sharma is a good test batter. He's a wide ball batting great. So Virat Kohli obviously deserves a longer rope. While he's out there, he looks good. So Virat Kohli, for me, is not anymore, a guy that we focus on and what's going wrong, because we've seen that same issue surface every match. It's just amazing for a great batter that he gets out like this every time. Even the final innings here, the same has happened. So now, as I've said before as well, it's not so much about Virat Kohli. I want to know what the batting coach of India is doing. If we can't solve an obvious problem of such a fine player, we've got to start looking at the role of a batting coach in the side, because enough has been said about Virat Kohli. We've just got to leave him alone.
It seems so improbable in a way, Mark and JL, that there is such a significant chink in that armour that every single bowler across the nations will try and just bowl in that channel, knowing that, patience, 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 and might just come off.
Well, truthfully, there's nowhere to hide now because there's so much vision, there's so much data. Doesn't matter where you are in the world, they all understand that's where he's getting out, and so that's where they're going to target all the time. If there was a little technical thing, and I'm not one for telling Virat Kohli, but at release he seems quite open with his left foot, which means when he steps across, even if he feels like he's taking a big step, he's only getting just outside the off stump. If his foot was he was a little more side on with his foot, when he takes that step, he's covering the off stump. But like I say, this is like Sanjay said, this is one of the all-time great players. I'm not in a position to tell Virat Kohli how to bat, but maybe if I was the batting coach that Sanjay said, I'd be maybe saying to him, maybe just close that left foot off a little bit, so when you step towards the ball, you're a lot closer to the line of it.
I'm sorry, Mayantik, for this conversation to evolve, for this conversation to evolve and not just stick with Virat Kohli's deficiencies, the problem. Justin Langer has been a coach of top class team.